Thanks for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. You can find us wherever you find podcasts or listen to music. When you have an opportunity, please give us a 5-star review, write a little note, tell us how we're doing. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep this thing going. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at Facebook at Hidden Tracks. Instagram is at HiddenTracks99, and if you'd like to send in submissions or talk to us or give us any feedback about what we're doing, our email is myhiddentracks99@gmail. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. Another week, another edition of Hidden Tracks. I'm delighted to have Joshua Hyslop to the show this week. I am going to let him tell you exactly what genre he's going to fall under, so we don't continue to genre label without people genre labeling themselves. But Joshua, welcome to the show, man. How you doing, brother?
Good, dude. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. So as I equated to there, in the world today of genres and subgenres and subgenres, where is it that you would call your honey hole of what you would tell people you do?
Oh man, that's a tricky question because I get it's so you can turn people off so quickly if you say folk, or if you say like singer-songwriter, or if you say like everyone's like, oh yeah, like they think they know exactly what you do, or if you say alt
you're
country,
the kid with the tree in college,
yeah, exactly. So it's hard to. I mean, I've been called indie folk, indie pop, indie folk, singer-songwriter, alt country, Americana, Canadiana. So if you throw those all together in some kind of genre blender, I think it's somewhere in there. I don't know.
All right, and listen, I think nowadays everything's just falling under alt rock, so because it just has all the the subgenres in there.
Then I think it has to be gentle alt rock because it's definitely not rock.
Mellower, gentle alt rock.
Yeah.
But so first thing I want to say is I found you years ago. I don't know what kind of playlist it was on. I don't know if it was through Bandcamp. It might have been through Apple. But I had heard a song called Nowhere Left to Go. And it literally just fucking, I don't know what it did. It like broke me a little bit on the inside. And then that was it. That was just on a journey to find everything that you're doing to reach out to you, to have you on the show. But I mean, I think you have a pretty good journey. So I don't know if you want to tell me your story, if you want me to ask you the simplest question of your first musical memory in music, or if you just want to tear into how you started getting into music.
I mean, whatever you want to start with, man. I'm pretty much an open book.
All right, an open book. So here it is. So we turn to page 1. Your first musical memory, the first time that you found music in your life.
Well, I remember being like 3 or 4 years old, and walking. My mom she was a janitor for the school that my sister went to, and ultimately that I went to, when we were really little. And I remember, so I'd often hang out at that school, even when I was that age. And I remember walking around the hallways and like making up little songs in my head and thinking like, I like this. So it's kind of always been in there. But never thought it would be something that I have no training. I really never thought this was going to be something I would do for a job. And even you alluded to the song "Nowhere Left to Go." Well, that was on a record called it's on an EP called "Cold Wind," and also a full length record called "Where the Mountain Meets the Valley." And when those came out, I had signed with a record label, but I was still working a day job, still thinking like, yeah, this isn't a real job. This doesn't work for the good haul. So I don't know, man, probably like 3 or 4 is when it kind of started creeping in, but I didn't start playing guitar till I was 15.
Do you remember the first time you heard an actual song by an artist that just made you just totally enthralled, something that you played over and over again as a kid?
Yeah, I do. I actually, my mom used to play the Beatles a lot when I was a kid. And I know I have memories of I remember hearing 8 Days a Week, and I remember hearing Help and I Want to Hold Your Hand and stuff. But the song that first kind of hit me as Oh, that's like music. Like it's. I need to hear that again. I don't really know. Same thing as like what you said before. For some reason, it connected and it quote unquote broke me. I don't know why, but it was in the movie The Sandlot. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Yes, I have.
Okay, well, there's a
You call
scene.
me Smalls.
Yes, well, man, I always wanted to be Benny the Jet Rodriguez, and I'm like, I know in my heart of hearts that I'm Smalls, and it kind of kills me a little bit, but but there's a scene during the 4th of July where they go out and they play a night game, and Ray Charles sings the song America.
Hmm.
And I don't know what it was, but it's just his voice. And I was like, that's the best thing I've ever heard. And so I was like 10. I was on a nonstop Ray Charles binge that continues to this day. But yeah, that was the first time that really hit me that like, oh, music can move you. It can do something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, so when TV channels down here in the States used to go off at midnight, like they would just stop broadcasting, they would end with that Ray Charles version. So you knew when there was no more TV on. When we only had 4 channels, I'm fucking dating myself. I apologize. But when we had, the CBS, NBC, ABC,
Yep.
and I think it was Channel 11 WPIX, but they would literally stop showing. There would be no broadcast, and they would always end with Ray Charles America and then go to static. So that song is
Fantastic.
prevalent in my childhood growing up as
What
well.
a way to sign off, man. That's like every
Yeah,
day. That's great.
every night, and then you just hear the static, and you're like, "Oh, looks like I fell asleep again on the couch." And then mom and dad yelled at you for being up too late, even though there's nothing on TV.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you find something like that. That is one of those moments that I'm sure still to this day that song plays and you get that little feeling of, wow, look at what this started.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I'm Canadian. Like, I'm up in Canada, and for some reason,
Yeah.
he's singing "America, America, oh sweet America," and I'm just like, "Yeah, man, keep singing, Ray." Like, wiping the tears out of my eyes. I was like, "What?" That has nothing to do with my experience, but I love that song, man. And then, yeah, I like got really into most of his music. Like, same thing happens when I hear Georgia, or
Georgia on My Mind.
Georgia on My Mind, or "You Don't Know Me." Like, "You Don't Know Me" is this like epic ballad about like this girl that he loves who doesn't love him back, and I'm singing it at like 8 or 9 years old, just being like, man, I get it, Ray. It's like no life experience
Preach, brother,
whatsoever.
preach.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's awesome though. And that's, I mean, to start a journey to that and to, I will give you some credit here. You have a lot of that blues balance in your singer songwriter indie folk that you do, and so that's pretty cool. That to hear that now, I get it. I'm like, all right, so he's got that blues and R&B, background of what he fell in love with.
Man,
I
thank
mean,
you. You're the first person to ever say that, actually.
wow, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I there it is. See, we're breaking new ground here. That's what we do here. We find the hidden tracks, we lay down new tracks, and then we get on that train and keep going. So, but yeah, no, you definitely have that blues tinge to it, especially a lot in your lyrics too. With Nowhere Left to Go, and just even names of your songs are very bluesy. So did you stay on that track? I know when you're a teenage kid and you're 10 years old, or you're starting to find your way through music. Where did you start to branch out into music? Because I know that's a hard time, and trying to find into groups and finding communities, as I like to call them, where it was a community based around music, and that's a lot of times what your friends were
Yeah.
growing up.
Yeah. No, that wasn't really my experience. Like, I got really into like I said, Ray Charles, but that led into like Sam and Dave and the Penguins or the Drifters. Um, I got really into that kind of stuff. I was looking up. I remember like I remember. I mean, dating myself here now as well. But I remember when like the very first version of Napster was a thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I was looking up like oldies, and I wanted to find like doo wop groups from the '50s, and like I was like anything old. I was like, oh yeah, I remember like finding what's his name? Is it Percy Sledge who sings
Yep.
"When a Man Loves a Woman"?
When
Like
a Man Loves a Woman. Yep.
oh, dude, and like for some reason these songs just like tore me apart, and I was like, this is the best stuff. And all my friends were listening. I remember like friends of mine sending me a lot of that like alt rock stuff that was going on, like Saliva and Puddle of Mud and all that kind of, and I'm like, no, man, I'm telling you, it's the Drifters. That's where it's at. Like, no, I did not fit into a community really of music. And when I was probably maybe like 13 or 14. My dad had his old record player downstairs and he wasn't using it. So I just went down and I found it and I was like, oh man. And he only had like a couple, he had like Crime of the Century by Supertramp on vinyl and a couple other records, but like nothing that really caught my eye. And so I listened to that and was like, oh, this is fascinating. So then I started going to used bookstores to find records, and I bought them just totally based on the covers or if I'd heard the name before. I think the first thing I ever bought was a record by the Police, Synchronicity, and
Hmm.
I'm not a huge Police fan, but I was like, nope, like I know the name, I got to buy it, and I got to listen to the whole thing. So like I was doing that at a pretty young age when my friends were mainly considered listening to like what was new and cool at the time. And I don't regret my decision actually.
No, yeah, I mean, you carved your own path, and that's awesome. Like you say Sam and Dave, and that brings Sam Cooke's one of my favorite
Oh man,
of all
yeah,
time. I think, I mean, hands down. And the Sam and Dave stuff is amazing, and the Drifters. I mean, I grew up with my parents singing under the boardwalk all day long,
nice,
and I mean, my parents were doo-wop, parents.
yeah,
They grew up in that era, so I had that stuff around, and it was awesome for me to transition and start finding other things and finding some commonalities between what I would eventually like to listen to. But yeah, nowadays, what do? I'll put on Percy Sledge's greatest hits while I'm just sitting around the house.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
I still go
and
back to Sam Cooke as well, man. And that's like that wasn't around for me. Like my folks were religious. They were the only ones in their family to both become Christian, and they like in doing so were like, okay, we have to like completely turn. Like long before I was born, they like we have to turn from our worldly ways, and so they got rid of all their good music, and they only had like I remember growing up and like it was just choir stuff. Like my mom would listen to the Beatles when my dad wasn't home, and my dad had he said he burned or got rid of all of his records, but he still had Crime of the Century. But like it was like there was nothing really to listen to, and if I listened to their music, it was all worship music and Christian music, and I was just like, oof. It was. I mean, that's all you knew, so you listened to it. But
yeah,
then when you did hear like a Percy Sledge record or Otis Redding or whatever, it was like, oh my god, like this is music. What are we listening? Why are we doing this to ourselves?
but I mean, even back, I'm so if I won't throw your age out there, but looking at your age, I would say, I mean,
Oh, you can throw
at
my
that
age out
time.
there.
Okay, you're in your mid 30s. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
in my mid 40s. But so at that time, being young, I mean, you did have like real bands that were considered Christian at the time too, that were starting to break in the indie world. Reliant K and
Oh
May
yeah.
and bands like
MXPX.
that. MXPX,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
that were
even
falling
that,
under the.
man, I wasn't allowed to listen to most of that stuff. Even though it was Christian, it was like my parents were like, "Oh, I don't know, like it's pretty worldly," you know. So it was like
Uh,
we had to be really careful what we. I remember it was a big moment for them. They had this Christian catalog, and at the back of the catalog, it was just as like CDs and like lists of CDs that this particular publisher had, and you could like send in a check and they'd send you a CD. Or it was like 12 CDs or something. So my mom had picked like 5 or something, and my dad had picked a bunch, and they had a couple. They had like 2 left over. So my sister and I both got to pick one CD, and there was a Newsboys record that had a picture of a spaceship on it. So I was like, "Yeah, I want the spaceship one." I had never heard of the Newsboys. I didn't know anything about them, and they were like, "Well, I don't know." I'm like, "It's in your catalog. Like, why can't I? Why wouldn't I be
yeah,
allowed?" And so they were like, "Okay." And then it came, and I was like, I listened to it. I like loved that record, not because it's a good record, but because it was like I got to pick this.
yeah.
And yeah, looking back, man, I'm like, oof, it's uphill.
So, I mean, that's interesting in and of itself. So, how did finding music and trying to be able to enjoy music to playing music? I mean, what is that? What's that formula look like?
Yeah, I started like my parents put me in 1 year of piano lessons.
We all had them.
Yeah, and I hated it. Like you're supposed to, read the music. I still can't read music, and I would just stare at my teacher's hand while she would like play the thing, and then she'd be like, "Okay, so now you play it," and I'd like, and she wants me to look at the page, but I had just been staring at her hands, so I just mimicked what her hands did, and I could play it. And then she'd be like, "No, no, no! Like you have to read the notes." And as soon as she wanted me to read the notes, it just disappeared, and I couldn't do it. And I'm sure that's the kind of thing where it's like if you just stick to it if you just like, because you have to learn it. That's the thing. But it didn't come naturally to me the same way that watching someone do it and then just doing it, imitating it, did. So we did 1 year of that, and I really didn't like it, and so stopped doing that. And then it was just not like, it wasn't on my radar at all. There was no interest, nothing. Until I was 15, and we moved. My whole family moved to Scotland. We'd been in BC in Canada, and we moved to Scotland for a year for my dad's job. And I had a pretty rough go at school there. I was getting in a bunch of fights, and I just didn't want to do it anymore. So I started skipping school pretty regularly, and my parents caught on when there was like no midterm grades to show because I hadn't been going to school. So they were like, "Well, you need to graduate. That's important. So if you graduate," and at that time I'd been skipping school and going to a music store. It was close by the school, and I would just go in there and like hang out during the day. The guy who owned the place was like, pretty old, and didn't really care that I was doing that, or at least never said anything to me. And so when my parents discovered what I was doing, and I told them, it was like, okay, well, if you stick with it, if you graduate, we'll support. Maybe we'll get you a guitar, and it's the whole like kind of bait and switch thing. And I went for it, and yeah, I discovered pretty quickly. My dad showed me G, C, and D, and then I was hooked. And it was like I have to do this all day, every day, and I did. I really committed to teaching myself how to play guitar.
And when you were teaching yourself how to play that, what kind of music were you trying to play, considering that you didn't have a lot, to always pull from if you didn't have a lot of music around?
Yeah, it's when we were only in Scotland for 1 year. And when we came back, it had happened that my best friend's older brothers were like in a band, and they had just won the Battle of the Bands at the local university. And so their younger brother, my friend Dave, and I were like, man, we should do that. We should just make be a band. And I had been listening. Someone had given my dad, when we were in Scotland, the best of Simon and Garfunkel for Christmas. And so I've been listening to a bunch of Simon and Garfunkel. And so I was like, yeah, like there's this band that I've been checking out called Simon and Garfunkel. We should be like them. 2 guitars, 2 vocals. Let's just do it. And so we did. We called ourselves the Road Less Traveled because we were very pretentious 16-year-olds. And we started writing songs that probably weren't super great. And yeah, we were like, we played local shows all the time. We recorded a record, like a CD.
Wow.
Yeah, we did a CD, 13 tracks in our friend's basement. Well, a guy's basement. We didn't even actually know him. He charged us $10 an hour to record us and mix it. So $130 in, and Dave was dating a girl whose dad had a distribution company. So he like made CDs for us for like absolute nothing, like cents on the dollar. And we ended up selling over 1,000 copies of that record. And that was kind of when I was like, oh, like maybe we've got something here. We could see if this kick this around a bit and see if something lands. But yeah, then Dave ended up going to Morocco after high school, like right out of high school, right when we were kind of getting noticed by some label buzz, and I was just left by myself and was like, well, maybe I'll try. And so I did.
Wow. So you got one of my questions out of the way with the name of your first band. That's awesome. Do you remember the first song you guys wrote?
Well, we kind of both wrote our own songs, and then we would just bring them to each other, and the other person would, like, it was very much like the way the Beatles did it. It was like I mean, not that we were anything like the Beatles, nowhere near as good. But
I mean, if you know Paul and John, I mean, how they put.
But one person would like, hey, this is my song, and then they'd play it, and the other person would be like, oh, cool, and they could like, you could say like, I think maybe, what if we did that thing here? What if we did this thing there, and make changes? But ultimately, whoever wrote the song, it was their song, and they had absolute creative control over it. So like, it was just the two of us, and we just, I wrote like 5 or 6 songs. The first song I ever wrote was a song called Always. And
Okay.
and then we just, so on the record that we made together, it's just like one of my songs and then one of his songs and then one of my songs, then one of his songs, and back and forth for the whole thing.
So how did you guys get to just like, okay, go perform? Like, was it a Battle of the Bands, a talent show contest type of thing? Or I mean,
think actually that it was a there was a Battle of the Bands at our high school, and it's funny because there was another band. I will not name them, but there was another band at the school, and they everyone had to submit for the Battle of the Bands by like a certain date, and Dave and I were like we were pretty big stoners in high school, and we were one day late to the submission. We were like, yeah, we'll submit on whatever it was, like Friday instead of Thursday. And of course, like, who cares? It's high school. But the one band that was like our competition complained that we had submitted late and got us kicked out of the Battle of the Bands. But the staff were like, well, this is ridiculous. Like, okay, we'll like adhere to the rule, but we're gonna let them play. So Dave and I, the deal was that we could play in between the acts. So like a band would play, and then Dave and I, the curtain would come down. Dave and I would go out on stage and play a song. Curtain would go up, the next band would play, and then down. Like, we just kept doing that, which is like so weird. Like, why not just let us be in the Battle of the Bands?
Yeah, I mean, that's really Dickie and Nickelback to like fucking completely say not.
They modeled themselves after Nickelback, and I'm not even kidding. but it occurred to me even then that I was like, okay, but like, if they're kicking us out, like if they're complaining, it's because they're nervous that we might actually have something.
Yeah, there's talent there.
Yeah. So then I thought, like, okay, like, so then we're a threat. So let's we'll do this like Battle of the Bands thing in front of our school. We can't win. Who cares? But then let's go and let's start playing around town. And I just like, it's so funny, man. Like, in every other way in my life, I am not this determined. Like, if it comes to any kind of skill or any kind of job I've ever had, if I don't like immediately exceed my very high standards for myself or my expectations of what I think I should be able to do, having never done this thing before, if I'm not really good at it, like notably good at it, then I'm like, no, I'll never be able to do it. I'm not doing that. And I like one try and that's it. And for some reason, like, I sucked at guitar for years but just kept forcing myself to do it, and like booked my own shows and put myself out there regularly, all like for years. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, you just, by you saying you sucked at something, but you pushed yourself hard to do it. I mean, what was it like for I mean, if you're still, because I'm sure for a lot of people in life, me doing this every day that I do this, I'm like, yeah, no, I suck at it, but I still try to do everything I can to be great at it. And it just, motivates me more to keep doing it and doing it. I mean, how did you even begin to go perform in front of somebody or a group of people, a group of strangers, and say, I can do this? I mean, how does a young person?
That's the thing, man. I remember like Dave and I played Dave and I were a band. We played a couple shows together before he went to Morocco. We were playing for like while we were in high school. So 17, 18. And I remember like a big part of it, I think, was having that other person there with me who equally believed that like we were going to do this. I remember one night we were stoned and we watched the music documentary Familiar to Millions, which is an Oasis documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a part where Noel Gallagher is like doing some, like, he's like wearing like 7 rings on one hand, and he's like playing this like electric guitar solo, and they're in front of like 60,000 people. And Dave and I are like, and we're watching this on his desktop computer. We're like both of us sitting at the monitor, just like glued to the screen watching this. And I remember both of us saying and talking about like, we're going to do that. We're going to do that job, man. That's what we're going to do. And we were so sure that like, yep, we've got it. Like, we're going to make it. And I genuinely have no idea why we thought that. Cause like, then the next day we're going and playing at the local coffee shop where no one wants us to play. Like, they're going there to have coffee, and we're like, you're welcome, as we get up and like do our own sound, and it's horrible, but
they're there on a job interview.
Yeah. And we're like, this next song's called Always. It's written by a 16-year-old. And they're like, oh my God, why are you here? But we did, man. We played like a couple times a week for as much as we could, like as much as we could find places that would let us play, we would play for years until, for 2 years until Dave left. And then I just kept doing it for a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, and you're still doing it, which is awesome. We'll jump forward here to dropped a new EP recently, which is awesome, called Pines. And so showing how you've done things for a long time and you've been able to maintain what you're doing. I mean, was there a point where, buddy leaves, goes to Morocco, you're left behind and you're still wanting to do something? Was there a point where that road less traveled? See what I did there? See what I
Nice.
did there?
Nice.
Ever got in your way of just saying, you know what, maybe this isn't going to work? Did
Yeah.
you ever struggle at any point with saying, I want to keep doing what I'm doing?
Yeah. I mean, I struggled. I still struggle with that very question. But I remember being, when he left and went to Morocco, I was really bugged because, like, not bugged, but like crushed, I guess, because my whole thing was like, we believe in this together. This is our thing. We're gonna do this together. And I never wanted it to be. I never wanted to be a solo artist. I really wanted to be a part of at least a duo, but a band. And we just didn't have the well, I would say we didn't. Now I would say it seemed to us at the time like we didn't have the community around us. Probably what it was is that we were two stoned 16-year-olds who didn't want anybody else to touch or to hamper our creative thing, whatever we thought we had. But whatever it was, self-imposed or not, we didn't really have much of a musical community around us. So when he left, I was like, well, it's just me now, and I got to do it. And I mean, dude, like, my parents moved back to Scotland by themselves when I was 19, and I moved out and stayed in BC and moved into like really sketchy places. I lived in a van for a while. I remember just really, I lived in a basement suite that was an illegal suite that had bars on the windows, and it flooded one night, and I lost most of my stuff, all my records I've been collecting, and my computer with all my song ideas for like 10 years is gone. Like, I had very, very low points. I remember one time, I had a university professor had come to one of the coffee shop shows, the local university, U of V, and she came up to me after the show and she was like, "Hey, I'm friends with a producer in Vancouver who works with Tom Cochrane. Would you want to meet with him? He'd love to work with you." And I was like, "Sure, yeah, that'd be great." And I mean, at that point, I've had so many false starts. Like, it's hilarious. The moments that you think like, this is it, now I finally made it, and like nothing ever happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But so she sets up this meeting with this producer for me, and I go and meet him, and he's this cool dude, and he does seem to really believe in me. And he's like, yeah, she sent me your album, The Road Less Traveled, and I think it's really great, and I want to work with you. And it would be through Universal. So you'd sign a deal with them, and then we'd work together, and we'd, and I was like, oh man, that's amazing. So we set up a deal with, or a meeting with Universal, and I sat down. At the time, I think I was 19 or 20, and they offered me just this horrible deal that was like, it was like a 4-album deal, and it was like, you get creative. I can't remember all the specific details, but something about, you get creative control on the first record. But if you don't hit something like 150,000 CDs sold, then you don't get creative control at all on the second or the third. It was just like, I would just be throwing it away because nobody was selling 150,000 CDs at that time. Like, iTunes was a thing. So like nothing was happening. No one was making those kind of sales. I mean, like pop stars were, but I'm some kind of amalgamation of country, whatever, folk. I don't know. Yeah. So I knew it wasn't going to happen. So I said no, and the response was, the music industry is going to have no use for you by the time you're 24. And I was just like, what? And so that was it. That door slammed shut, and I had to go back that night to sleeping in my 3-door MPV van, being like, the carrot just was like that close, like dangled just in front of me. It's been in front of me for years, and I almost tasted it, and now it's gone. So yeah, man, there have been very, very low lows in this journey of mine.
So what pushes you forward, man? Like what helps you wake up every day to continue to say, like, listen, I'm a huge fan. I'm the guy on the other side right now telling you to don't stop doing what you're fucking doing, because it is touching people and it is reaching the masses, especially in today's world. You don't need that fucking selling 150,000 fucking CDs. Fuck that shit. There's ways to get it out there now, which is awesome. But what drives you? I mean, because to have that carrot dangled in front of you so many times, and I mean, it's got to, for a lot of people, it's easier to give up. Why didn't you?
Yeah, I think I did on and off, but part of it I would say it's pretty multifaceted. Like there have been high points as well. The first record being called "Where the Mountain Meets the Valley" really wasn't a coincidence. There were the valley being low and the mountains being high. There really were um, very low points and very high points. There's been amazing people in my corner. My manager, who's been my manager for, oh man, going on 11 years. From the first record deal I ever signed, he's been my manager, and he believes in me like aggressively. My wife believes in me aggressively. Like these people, I'm the one who's always saying like I suck, I shouldn't do this, no one cares, all full of self-loathing and self-pity and reveling in it. And they come alongside me being like, "Hey, shake your head, what are you doing? Like come on, you did this because you loved music. Get back into that headspace." And that's part of it. There's also very genuine like when I go on stage, I still get really nervous and sometimes sick before shows, um, because I'm not. I mean, there's a certain amount of performing, but I'm not hiding behind a persona. You know,
Yeah.
it really is like I'm going up and I'm being myself and I'm singing songs that I wrote about things that I care about. Some of them are my stories, some of them are my friends' stories, some of them are fiction, but whatever they are, they matter to me. And it is kind of like reading your journal to a room full of strangers and really hoping that something connects with somebody. And I have had, I've had really horrible shows sometimes. The majority have been great, but have had those bad shows where nobody wants you there. I've had bottles chucked at me. I've been booed off stage. Um, but I've also had, lots of times where people come up to me after a show and they say like, this is what's going on for me in my life. And they list any number of like huge, huge life changing tragedies or illnesses or issues that they're going through. And they say, and the only thing that's helped me so far has been listening to your song, or this song got me through that, or whatever. And it would just be, I think it feels to me like it would be selfish and foolish to be like, no, I don't feel like I'm famous enough, so I'm not going to do it. It's like, well, that's just get your head out of your ass, man. Like you do this because you love doing it. And if one person comes along, it's a cliche, right? That if one person cares, but it really is like when you have that one person speaking through tears to your face about what your song, something you wrote in your fucking garage means to them, it's pretty hard to then turn your back on that and be like, oh, what do I get there again. I'll give it a week and I'll be back in that same like, why
Yeah.
am I doing this? But
Yeah.
but
No,
those little lights in the darkness keep you going.
they absolutely do. Anytime you get that one little, as I'll say, that little flicker before um a candle lights, you get that little flicker right before it's ready to light.
Yeah.
All you need is that little flicker, and it keeps you going for a while, and that
Yep.
candle will burn for 24 hours. But it's those little things. And you said the word selfish, which for me sometimes with people is, especially as an artist, you know what you're doing is selfless because you're putting your own story out there. Like you said, you're literally opening your soul. That's what a song is. You're taking little pieces of yourself and letting people pick it apart. I mean, and but also at the same time, I'm here to say that if you're as talented as you are and you write a song and you keep it to yourself and you don't share it with anyone, that's when I say you're selfish.
Well, it's that's the thing, right? That's the kind of the dichotomy that's in your brain all the time, because it's like, um, on one hand, you're like, well, I'm selfish if I keep this stuff to myself. But then the narcissism that you immediately feel that goes hand in hand with that, like, oh yeah, like I'm so good that it would be selfish of me not to play these songs for people, is like, oh dude, check yourself. But then second,
Yeah.
the other side of that coin is, um, you want to feel selfless when you sing these songs for a crowd of people. But the fact is, most of the time when you finish a song, you get a round of applause. You get, people saying, we like you, we appreciate you,
Yeah.
which is like nothing but like ego fodder. You're just like, oh, thank you so much. And then at the end, when someone comes up and tells you their story, it is an amazing thing. But it's absolutely like, it feels to me every time like, oh, it's pretty selfish of me, like this whole exercise, that's why I think partly why I wrestle with it so much is like, I'm not somebody to get up in front of a crowd or in front of my, when I'm at home, I'm really introverted. I'm not someone to get up and command attention and be like, look at me, look at me. Like, that's not who I am. So doing that for a job, but trying to do it in a way that's very genuine and not self-serving is really hard because of course it's self-serving. That's the point. I am a brand and I'm trying to promote my brand. It's
Yeah, and your brand is you. It's not the name of a band. You're not, and you said it earlier. You have nothing to hide behind because you're yourself. You're out there, as Joshua on stage,
yeah,
as yourself, as your name. You can't hide behind, hey, whatever name you want to call yourself. We're Bender Tender 95, or whatever. It's
good
stupid
name.
fucking name.
No,
But,
good
yeah.
name. Watch for my next record called Bender. What was it? Tender?
Yeah, Bender Tender 95. I don't know. But you're yourself. So there's nowhere to hide. But you're also escaping something at the same time once you get on stage, right? You remove that anxiety and now you're performing, but you're also putting yourself fully out there for everyone to see and pick at.
Yeah, it would be dishonest to say that it's not an amazing feeling to being on stage and getting applause and stuff. But that is the other side of that as well. It's like, it is terrifying. It is really, really hard. And there is in the back of my mind, like there's always the question of like, is this just is like to serve my own ego? Is this coming from a genuine place? Do these people genuinely like it? Am I wasting their time? Like, they paid money to be here. And you're just another guy with a guitar, man. Like, why you have to have something in there that you're like, yeah, but people should listen to me. And I rarely have whatever that is. It usually feels like I go out on stage and I'm like, are you guys sure? Like, there's probably
Yeah,
other
but I
shows
think
happening tonight. You could have, it's not too late. If you hustle, you can get over there.
But I think that's what draws people to you. I was drawn to you by the sincerity in your lyrics and your songs. That's what drew me to you, because there was sincerity there. And
Okay, but
and
let
I
me ask
guess
you a question. Do you think that kind of listener is common? Like, someone who actually listens to the lyrics?
I think it's more common than you think. I think that people are scared of it. Truthfully, in all my years surrounded with music, I think people are scared of the emotion it evokes and sometimes don't fully let that stuff touch them. But when it does, they're scared to talk to people about it.
Right.
It's just like anything else. When you have an emotion that you're unsure of, it's hard to talk about. And I think music does that to people. And I think nowadays, where it's a little more common to talk about how something makes you feel, I think that opens up the doorway for artists such as yourself, because you do write to the truth of what's going on and you are writing your diary. You can hear it. I mean, when you listen to your album, you're literally telling everybody, here's what the fuck's going on with me.
I had a guy, I played a show in Hamilton, Ontario, and a fan of mine came up before the show, and I was having a beer with him, and he's like, I've been listening to the singles you just put out, man, and he's like, the latest one was called One Shot in the Darkness, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, oh man, is Josh gonna give up music? And like, he's saying it like ha ha ha, but I was like, actually, that's exactly what that song is about. And it was like, this person is totally seeing through the lyrics exactly how I feel, even right now before I'm supposed to perform, being like, I don't know if I can do this tonight, man. I don't know if I got it in me. And it's just like, oh yeah, wow, you did pick up on that. It's a good reminder of like, if you are that honest when you're writing and people really pay attention, they might get more of an insight into you than you initially intended.
Yeah, you can't bullshit people.
Yeah, don't gaze too deep into that abyss unless you're willing to let it gaze back.
Exactly. And I mean that right there. So yes, people have listened to it. They listen to the lyrics, and that's where it is. I've caught myself at times where there's really rough times where I've sat back and I've listened to something, one of my favorite artists of all time, Scott Hutchinson of Frightened Rabbit, and knowing that he was struggling in life for a very long time, and then, last album comes out and I'm listening to it, I'm like, wow, this is fucking brilliant. This is awesome. Mm-hmm. And then we sadly lost him to an illness. And I went back and listened to it and I said, fuck, I'm like, it was right there.
Yeah.
I'm like, the everything that we needed was right there, and we just didn't hear it the way we were supposed to.
Mm.
And I think that makes me take even more stuff now when I find new stuff. Like I'm neurotic, so like I literally dive into it and I'll read it, and if I digitally download, I'll look up the lyrics online, and I have to now read the song and read the lyrics, and like I have major issues when when it comes to stuff like that. But I mean, so there are people out there. I don't think I'm the only person.
No, and I don't think you are either, but I do think that that's the minority. At least, like, if nothing else, you just look at the what's popular. You know, that like the music that gets listened to the most is fun, is entertaining. You know, and even if it's like sad, it's like, yeah, but it's sad and it's upbeat. Like it's all pretty. You know, there's a certain BPM that these songs are going to be. They're not going to be, and there's a production level that they're going to be at. That just encourages people to be like, check out. Like it's down to a science when it comes to pop music. Like they know exactly how to hook you.
Yep. When the hook comes in, you need to know exactly how many seconds before someone checks out on a song. You need to have the jangle correct. Like, yeah, it is a formula.
It absolutely is, and I'm not formulaic. Like even there's a song coming out soon. Not like in the immediate future, but on this next record I just finished that I'm really excited about. And even my producer, when I brought it in, he was like, so what's the chorus? What's the I was like, oh, no. It just goes like this. I'm just like singing it to him. He's like, yeah, I know how it goes, but like, how do we tell, the bass player who's going to come in and play with you, how do we tell him where to, now it's going to the verse. Like, I don't understand the structure. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't think it has that. I don't think that's what it is. And it's just, but at the same time, I think it's, well, how do I say this? I think it's like a very real thing, maybe the most real thing I've written in a long time that I'm very excited to share.
Awesome.
Yeah, man, it's a really nice feeling, but there's no formula, which then I know, probably means that it's not going to be, I'm not going to be up there with, the Biebs. Not quite.
Yeah. or Adele's most downloaded song of all time.
In a day.
In a fucking day. Listen, I mean, I listened to it a bunch of times. It was it's straight fire. So I mean,
course.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck you.
They know exactly what they're doing. Like it is perfect. It's great. But it's like, yeah, you know exactly what you're getting, and like that brand knows exactly what it's doing, and it's a machine that's firing on every single cylinder perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, they know when to release it, how to release it, what they're doing. I mean, it really is fucking crazy to watch that science.
Yeah.
So you just brought up songs that you're writing, something else coming out down the road, but here's a question I have to you. If someone were to come up to you and you told them you were an artist, what one song that you have already recorded and released would you play from that you would say, yeah, here's the song. This probably is what you need to listen to if you want to listen to who I am.
Right. First, I don't know if I've ever actually said I am an artist. Maybe I have. But I would hesitate to say that. I'd be like, I play music is probably what I'd say. Even then,
but you write songs and play music. You're an artist, man. Yeah. So you're an artist.
I think I would go with a song called "Something More," which was on Ash and Stone, my last record. I just really like that song. I just think it's got like a nice. There's like a long musical interlude at the beginning, and then it's like this. It's in a weird tuning, and it's this very raw, honest song about like where I'm at. Like it's where I'm at with a lot of things in my life, namely with that song, an ongoing struggle that like I'm probably well, in my family I'm the only one who's like not. I don't go to church. I don't believe in God. That's not my thing anymore. And that's hard because my parents both are Christian, and my wife's family is religious. Like there's a lot of pastors in our family, and it's really an uncomfortable subject when you like. I don't want to rock the boat, but I'm also like, but if just existing rocks the boat, then maybe the boat's not that. If the boat can't take it, it's not worth being in. So I'm like, it's a very honest kind of like encapsulation of where I'm at, where I've been, that I think it's better to be honest than to lie and make people feel good. But that's just, I think that's worth showing someone. I don't know if that would make them believe me when I say I'm an artist, but it's a song that I'd be like, yeah, it's whatever. You can listen to it.
Wow. so modest. Now, with that, I mean, and trying to pull off something like that, and knowing that you do have fans, right? So you have fans. Now, is there a band that you're a fan of, or an artist that you're a fan of, that has never let you down with their music?
That has never let me down with their music, specifically their music.
Yeah. So I mean, and the way I'd say Rolling Stone would call it, they usually call it your favorite band, but I don't like to call something that. It's there's an artist or a band out there that anytime they release music or had released music, it's just something that never lets you down, and anytime you turn it on, it never lets you down.
Never lets me down. I don't know if I have found that. I mean, I really like I like Bon Iver's 3 records and his EP. But there's songs on some of them that I'm like, like I don't know that and then there's the other problem with that is that there's artists whose music I've really, really loved, whose personal lives, when light's been shut on them, have not been great. And and their behavior is more than questionable. And in the Me Too movement, it's happened across. I mean, the music industry is rife with that stuff. So it's hard to then be like, oh, like for example, I really, really loved, still love Ryan Adams, most of his discography. Like, it's really, really good songwriting. I don't know the guy personally, but what came to light, or what's people saying about his personal life, is like, oh man, well, that sucks. Like, I don't know where to go. And then he's also,
am I allowed to like his music anymore? Like,
yeah,
am I allowed to? Is it okay?
Yeah, and I think it's okay. Like, I don't. I mean, this is just one person's opinion, and it comes from a place of privilege. But it's not the same thing. Like, I don't listen to music because I like the artist. I don't know the artist, and I think that's something that's never been on the table before. Is like, I mean, when people were listening to classic rock before it was classic, like the bands that were big back in the day, I don't think they were living particularly moral lives. Some of them. But that didn't stop people from listening to their music, because I think there was a distinction between like the musician and the music. That's the line that gets blurred when you have a singer-songwriter who is writing very personal stuff, and people tend to, not always, but they do tend to think that whatever you put out is somewhat autobiographical. And it's not always. Like, there's lots of my songs that are other people, like my friends' stories or fictions that I've made up.
Mm-hmm.
But people do then come up to me and talk to me as though they know stuff that's going on in my life. And sometimes they're right, and sometimes they're completely off base. But I know that I'm looked at sometimes by fans of mine in a light that I would not measure up to, just because I'm not perfect. I'm not a, I'm not a monster, but I'm not without blemish. Like, I'm just a human being. So it's the kind of thing that's like, I don't know, man. That's a big question. Like, if I have listened to an artist who's never let me down, just from the music perspective, I'm sure. I mean, like I said before, Ray Charles, but even him, man. Like, if you look at his personal life,
yeah,
he was not an angel. So I don't know. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, listen, it was a different perspective and a different way to answer a question than we've had here before. It was, I actually enjoyed that. So you're good there, man. Don't worry about how you answer your own question that I ask you, because you're answering it truthfully. So that's awesome. All right. So let's try and get into something a little more fun here. Something that, may happen or may never happen in our lifetimes. But picture yourself, you're standing on the street, meteors coming and hit the earth. all life as we know it is going to cease to exist in 5 minutes, and you have to listen to one song.
Boy, this is fun.
Do you have a song that you would listen to? Would it be Ray Charles America?
No, it wouldn't be Ray Charles America. Although that is a perfect song, and everyone should stop this right now and go listen to it. I had to listen to one song. Oh man. And there's like, how long do I have before this meteor hits?
You have 5 minutes. I mean, mine's scrolling through my Spotify playlist to find a perfect song before it happens, but you got 5 minutes. So Stairway to Heaven's out because you're not going to get through the whole song.
Yeah. That's a really hard question because there's a lot of songs, and I don't know that any one of them. I don't know that any song, like, you ever have it where, like you said, you read lyrics. I also, like, I read lyrics. I also read like poetry, and there's lots of times where I'm like, the first like 3 stanzas of this poem are like perfect, like they hit me perfectly, and then the last thing that the person says or something is just like, what, and it just like throws the whole thing off.
You can end it after the first, I have a lot of writings in my phone, like in my notes, and it's literally like 4 lines, and I'm like, all right, no, that's it.
Yeah, because I feel like that happens all the time in music, where and in poetry, where you're just like, oh, like it was you were this close personally for me for it connecting in this like super deep way, and now now I'm not quite there anymore. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So one song that I'm going to listen to before I die, I'm probably taking this question way too seriously, but oh man, I'm gonna go with. I thought if I said I'm gonna go with, the song would pop into my head, but that didn't happen. I don't know, man. That's a hard question.
I know it's a hard question. There's not a song. I mean, I'm surprised that not one song popped into your head at all.
No,
like not. Wow.
You know what it's
all
like?
Right.
It's like when you walk into. This is again dating myself. When you'd walk into like a video store to rent videos,
and forgot what you're there for.
Exactly, and you're like, what? And you can't think of any movies at all, and you're like surrounded by movies, and you're like, movies? What are movies? That's like exactly. What would I listen to? You know what would happen is I'd take out my phone.
You'd have to go to the recommended list.
I'd take out my phone. I'd hit Spotify, and the meteor would have killed me because I wouldn't be able to pick anything. I'd be like, well, there's this one, but there's also that one, and then just bam, I'm dead.
You know what? Here's the thing. I guess I would have to probably start changing up that, because as the meteor gets closer, all the internet's going to go out, right? So you're not going to be able to stream anything. So it's got to be something that's either already downloaded.
Oh man!
See, now I got to fucking change this up.
Yeah.
Damn.
You know what I would pick? I'd pick.
You just made me over fucking think everything by over answering questions to stuff that I've. God damn you!
I would pick the song "The Wind" by Cat Stevens, only because it's really short, and I sing it to my little boy every night that I put him to sleep. Boom.
I knew we'd get there.
It only took the same amount of time that now the meteor is here and we're both dead. So,
hey, that's all right. We got the answer. That's what I was looking for. But all right, so I don't want to keep you very long. This has been pretty awesome to have you here today. So we're gonna rein it in here. So before we get to our last segment, I'd like for you to take an opportunity right now to tell everybody how to find what you're doing, how to find what's coming up that you're doing, all your music, any way to find you. I mean, we will put it out there for everyone as well, but I'd love you to have this opportunity now to tell everyone.
Thanks. I think the easiest way is to follow me on social media at Joshua Hyslop. You can also go to joshuahyslop.com. We're going to be putting out more music on in November. There'll be a single coming out, so follow me on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you listen to music. But yeah, I would say probably Instagram or my website is like the most immediate way of connecting.
Well, awesome. So we want to thank you again for being here. Now we're going to roll into our weekly threes. It's 3 things you're listening to right now that you would like people to check out and listen to. It can be new, it could be old, it could be a podcast, it could be an audiobook you're listening to. Who knows? But 3 things that you're listening to right now that you'd like someone to check out.
Okay. I actually have answers for this, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah, that aren't like super overthought. These are just like straight up answers. I I would say number one is a record by a fellow who's local here. His name is Curry, Kuri, and his record is called No Village, and it's just like super cool, really inventive stuff. It's got kind of like a bit of a Andrew Bird kind of feel sometimes, but he's just really interesting musically and lyrically. He's really cool, and his voice is great, and so that's a really good record. I also just discovered this guy Hayden Pedigo. I think he's from Nashville, but I'm not 100% on that. And he does kind of like instrumental music that's like kind of similar to like John Fahey kind of stuff. But he's like a super young kid. He just put out a record called Letting Go, which is really good. And the one before that is like amazing. It's called Greetings from Amarillo, I think. And it's just like insanely good. And for those of you who like old black and white movies and like cocktail parties and stuff, there's a record called For Murray and Lillian by a dude named Eddie Barbash, and it's fantastic. It's all instrumental. It's all very like there's got elements of like the Shining soundtrack in there. It's really good. It's worth checking out. Those would be the three that I'm kind of currently obsessed with.
Awesome. Love that. And for theatrical playing music, black and white, we are coming into that spooky type of season. Something awesome to play with. Awesome. Good three. Have those written down. My three for this week. There's a band called Gates. They are New Jersey indie, alt rock, emo, whatever the fuck you want to call it. They went away for a little while. They just dropped a new single called Pretending. They're totally awesome. I'm so excited that they're back and creating music. It's awesome to have them back and creating music. So really been listening to that lately. Next is Grady Spencer and The Work. There's an album from 2013, a little older, that I've been listening to, but it's very blues, folky, country, alt rock, singer-songwriter, indie folk, indie alt rock, whatever the fuck you want to call music nowadays. There's a bunch of subgenres for you to listen. But that is one. And then last but not least, a band called Tall Heights out of Massachusetts, alt rock to encompass everything. There's a new single out called Locked Out that I've been listening to. So that is it. That is my three for this week.
Nice.
So Joshua, I want to thank you so much for being here. I want to thank you for what you do as an artist. You can take that label because I am going to label you as that. That is my genre I'm putting you under, as artist. But thank you for all you do. Thank you for all your creations. Thank you for constantly blessing my ears with the music you create. We appreciate everything you do here. Want to say thank you so much for being on the show this week.
Man, thank you so much for having me. This is really nice.
Awesome. Now, everybody out there in the world, you know what to do. Go out, listen to Joshua Hyslop, and have a great fucking time.
Tread soft and light, leave no path among the pines, greet the morning as it comes. So clear and bright, all the melodies reside in the rising of the sun. Runs. The scene unfolds and the endless stories told, and we simply play a part. My soul implores Have I not been here before? As the rhythm of my heart runs. Such beauty in our impermanence, how we rise and fall.
Thanks again for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HiddenTracks99. Also, send all your submissions to myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Tune in next week. You may find your new favorite band, and don't forget to go out and have a great fucking time.